Okay, great. Well, thank you for joining us. My name is Bailey Triggs. I am the Chief Operating Officer at R.E.A.L L, and I'm very excited to talk a little bit about R.E.A.L today and to welcome our guests, Create and Educate. R.E.A.L has contributed to the socio-emotional and STEM fields for the past 20 years. Our team is passionate about supporting youth and educators and helping them learn, dream, and thrive. We partner with organizations all across the country, and we're thrilled to be speaking with one of our partners today, Create and Educate. I'll now hand it over to Danielle Towns, who will introduce our group.
Good morning. I'm Danielle Johnson-Towns, and I'm the Associate Director of Strategic Business Management at R.E.A.L. And we're so excited to welcome Dr. Sheka Houston and Principal Tammy Taylor for our Women's History Month Partner Spotlight. This month, R.E.A.L wants to acknowledge and celebrate the contribution of female-owned businesses in the field of education and social and emotional development. Create and Educate, founded by Dr. Sheka Houston and again, Principal Tammy Taylor, are both school leaders with 40 years of experience between the two of them, who provide professional development and training and help authors connect their books to K-12 educators. R.E.A.L has been working with Create and Educate over the past year to promote Dr. Noem's 10 Big Bets, Transforming Education During the Pandemic and Beyond. So we're going to talk with them this morning, learn a bit about their work, their passion, and how they support their community and beyond. And without further ado, I'll pass it over to Dr. Houston for a quick introduction.
Thank you, Bailey and Danielle. And we are very honored to be here with you all this morning and to be spotlighted. I have been in education. This is my 19th year. I've been a teacher in the classroom, an assistant principal, a principal, and currently I work at the district level as the Director of Secondary Interventions. And Create and Educate is something that Tammy and I have co-founded together just because of some problems that we've wanted to solve together in education.
Sure. And Principal Tammy Taylor?
Good morning, guys, and thank you all for having us. As Sheka said, we're super excited to be with you all and are humbled by the spotlight. So thank you very much. Like Sheka, I am a career educator and I am in my 25th year. I've been a teacher at both the primary and upper elementary levels. I have served as Director of Instruction. I've been Director of Federal Projects. I've been Director of Accountability. So I've done lots of different things. And I'm currently serving as an elementary principal in a pre-K through 5 school, which absolutely by far is my best assignment yet. Love what I do. And as Sheka said, we consider ourselves problem solvers. So we came to the table and decided that rather than complain and talk about the woes and all that was wrong, that instead of just talking, we were going to be about doing something. And just kind of since that time, really took the bull by the horns, and we've just been on a roll ever since.
Absolutely.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Tammy.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome.
Yes, welcome. And thank you all for joining us. And we're thankful for R.E.A.L for the partnership in the spotlight. So we hope that you enjoyed that. If you want to see the full interview, it is on our page. If you go to our page, you can see the full interview. So again, welcome to the R.E.A.L Academy. It's based on Create and Educate's 5 super strengths to a resilient school. And the framework is outlined and detailed in our book that we are releasing in May. We do have a finalized date, finally. And we wanted to make sure that everything that is really needed was included because basically what it does is provide school leaders with a roadmap to help them really ensure that the practices and protocols that are needed to experience growth and success are in place. It's a framework that definitely, it's trademarked, and it was something that we felt like we needed but didn't have. So we wanted to make sure we were passing that on to people that would need it.
Yes.
It's also backed in the research of Ron Edmonds.
Definitely. Sheka did that work during her dissertation. Good morning again, everybody, and thank you all for joining us. We are so honored to have you this morning, and we are very honored to be a part of the Fantastic Four, bringing you professional development every Saturday morning. And we have to give acknowledgement to our esteemed colleagues who join us. Principal Sean Hurd, of course, is on at 10. Right before us, he didn't come on this morning because he is actually out on assignment. So I'm sure he'll make this up to you guys probably tomorrow. Then we want to recognize Principal Josh Tovar and his group from Unlock the Middle. Sheka and I are actually going to be on with them tomorrow. So please, please, please tune in with us tomorrow night at 7 p.m. with Josh. We're so looking forward to that conversation. They do such an incredible job. And then last and certainly not least, we have to give honor to our very esteemed colleague, the GOAT of the group, the greatest of all times, actually. And that is
I'm live.
we hope that you all enjoyed the tribute that we tried to give to him on last week. We enjoyed his 100th broadcast, and that session was just as fire as everything that he does. So again, want to just say thank you, thank you, thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Tammy. And I have our graphic up that I referenced the framework earlier. So this is where you're able to see it here.
Right.
And let me get back to my notes. So last week we were, and as Tammy stated, we hope you enjoyed Principal Kafele's tribute, but we're going to continue our series on literacy and reading. So when we referenced literacy, our framework for that is still our R.E.A.L framework in line with R.E.A.L, our acronym: relevant, exciting, accessible lessons learned through reading. So we want to make sure that when we're talking with children or when we're trying to teach them how to read, we want to make sure that it's relevant, either culturally relevant or related to something that they have going on. We want to get kids excited about reading. It shouldn't be something that they shy away from because it's not interesting. There's so many things we can do to make reading exciting. It should definitely be accessible. And that means that classroom libraries should be filled up with culturally relevant things that are appropriate for students to read. Your parents, your home library should be filled with things that your children are excited and interested in reading that are culturally relevant as well. And then we also want to make sure that lessons are being learned through reading. So anytime you can connect what they're reading back to something with social and emotional learning, or anything that you're working on in class, your lesson plans, all of that makes it very much easier for students to be able to connect, and being able to connect to the text is very important for those connections to be made so that true learning and reading can take place.
Yes. The amazing thing about what Sheka is sharing is that part that connects the text that children are reading to who they are as individuals, who they are as people, where they are in their social emotional development. All of that makes for a better experience for readers. When we first started to talk with you guys about being focused on this reading aspect of what we're going to be sharing with you on Saturday mornings, we told you that there was an article in Ed Week that stated that students in grades K through 4 reading abilities are going to be greatly impacted by the pandemic, and that if strategic interventions don't occur, if those aren't provided, then those students are really going to suffer significantly. However, we want to help you to just remember that those interventions are so crucial, and we want to encourage you to make sure that those are happening, whether they are happening inside the classroom, outside the classroom, or even at home, because they are crucial to ensuring that our students don't suffer so significantly from the fallout of having had some gaps and other issues created during this pandemic.
Definitely. And when we started the series on the reading, one of the things people wonder, well, let me go back to reviewing what we talked about before. So this is our graphic for concepts of print. And remember, we talked about this is one of the first steps that you want to make sure this is a pre-reading skill. When children are developing those reading skills, you want to make sure that they are able to identify the parts of a book, and this goes along with concepts of print. Good morning, Principal Kafele.
Good morning.
And this is a graphic that we use for that in training, and it's also a part of our poster series that can be purchased if you're trying to create literacy-rich environments at your schools. The next graphic shows kind of like a sequence for teaching reading, because some people are not really familiar with how that should go. And as you can see at the top, those pre-reading skills are essential: the concepts of print, rhyming words, letter names and sounds. And those are things that we're actually going to get into today. That's also going to lead us into phonological and phonemic awareness.
Yes, we are super excited to talk with you guys about that beginning aspect of reading, because it's foundational. And we see that Principal Kafele joined us. Good morning. We were sharing that we enjoy your 100th episode. Just like always, you are on fire. And we told everybody that we really hope you enjoy your tribute last week, because we felt like you so deserve that. With us this morning, guys, what we're going to be sharing are strategies for helping students with word awareness, because that's a lot of how you can wrap your mind around what phonemic awareness represents. So we're going to be looking at word awareness. We're going to be looking at syllable awareness. We're going to be looking at onset rhyme awareness and phonemic awareness, because again, all these things go together to help to create that foundation for getting kids ready to read. And what we want to begin by doing is sharing a definition of phonemic awareness that we're going to be working from. And phonemic awareness is simply that understanding that spoken language words can be broken down into individual phonemes, and those are those smallest units of spoken words. So we are going to use that as a working definition to talk from this morning. There are three main aspects of phonemic awareness, and they are syllables, rhymes, and beginning sounds. So children have to be able to identify and manipulate these elements in order to begin reading. One of the first things, though, that we want to stress, and this is something that we share in every professional development that we provide, and the reason that we share this is because there is often a disconnect and people get confused. But phonemic awareness is not phonics.
Definitely. And so how does some of the things that Tammy talked about happen? Basically, you're using strategies that are solid. They allow the students the opportunity to practice. And that's why explicit direct instruction is best. A lot of times we spend lots of money on programs and software, and those are, not bad things, but the best thing for students is explicit direct instruction. So with that, they're practicing segmenting words into syllables, rhyming alliteration, onset rhyme, segmentation, segmenting initial sounds, segmenting final sounds, segmenting and blending sounds, and deletion and manipulation of sounds. And we're developing a tool that outlines our framework for phonemic awareness and phonics to help students learn to decode when they begin to read.
So what we want to do, and this was something that Sheka and I talked about this morning, because when you start to look at what we are thinking about, and Sheka has a visual there, I think she's kind of going to go through the sequence of it a little, but we'll delve into that more when there are specific examples that we need to share with you. And we want to make sure you also know that this, as we are creating this particular framework, we're actually using not just research that we have actually taken, because we've done some research, of course, on our own, but we've really studied some of the things that have come out of the University of Oregon, where a lot of work has been done on what the big ideas in beginning reading are. So what we want to do is we'll continue to fine tune this, and we'll continue to finesse it so that it is something that will be something you can put into the hands of teachers to help them to feel more comfortable with helping children at this stage in their actual reading. But one of the things that gets, I guess, to be a distraction sort of for teachers as they are beginning to put these practices into place is it's very important to have a focus on phonemic awareness. It's not phonics. It has an auditory aspect, and it does not involve words in print. So when you say that to teachers, it kind of freaks them out, because they're like, I mean, if I'm not giving them something to show me what they are doing with the manipulation of these sounds, then what am I supposed to do? But anytime you give them anything in print, phonemic awareness is no longer what you're doing. Now you're operating in the area of phonics. So what we want to just stress is we know that it is super important, but we also know that phonemic awareness can be difficult to teach, because if you are not strong in those beginning literacy strategies, it can give you angst, and it can scare you because you don't want to do anything that's going to create a gap for a student. But what we want to bring your attention to with phonemic awareness and the importance of it is that the one thing that you want to always focus on is that it's going to be something that helps students to attend to sounds. It primes that connection of sounds to print, because again, remember, when it goes into print, now we're talking about phonics. So those sounds are keenly important. And phonemic awareness gives students a new way to approach words that they don't know. The final thing that we want to just bring your attention to with what phonemic awareness and why it's so important is it helps students to understand that alphabetic principle. And that simply is that letters in words are represented by sounds. Is that simple. Now, why that scares some people off is because in our language, we only have 26 letters in the English alphabet. But when you start to look at that, and this differs across sources, so you might hear someone say a different number, but one of the sources cite that there are 40 different phonemes. Now, when you start to listen and think about all of those different phonemes and how those sounds are represented, it can get complicated because when you start to have to separate those and segment those initial sounds, and you need to have a working knowledge of what you're teaching the children. You don't want to teach them. You see, we are talking about short sounds, the short vowel sounds. There's a difference in the short vowel sounds than there are in the long vowel sounds. You wouldn't start teaching kids with long vowels because that pattern looks different. So what we would want to do is help teachers to understand exactly where you're supposed to start and where we go from there. Now, the other thing that is important for us to make sure we stress with kids when we're teaching these things is that those sounds are consistent. And when Sheka talked about segmenting, you want to think about that in what you're trying to segment. If you're segmenting the initial sound, and let's just use the word mop, for example, you would segment that initial sound, which is M, and that's the part of the word mop. So those are the things that break down the sounds for the kids, and that's what helps them to be able to start to manipulate those sounds before they actually start to associate that with print.
And as teachers of reading, there are some terms we would like to define for you so that we can make sure that we're on the same page and we're talking about the same thing. So the first one is phonemic awareness.
You want me to give them a definition, or you want? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So for phonemic awareness, that simply is the ability to hear and manipulate the sounds in spoken words.
And phonics.
Phonics is the use of the code. That's the sound symbol. That is when you start to associate that a looks like this, and that's an A. And you might even take that a step farther by saying there's a word that starts with a, and show them a picture of an apple. So phonics is that code that shows that sound symbol relationship.
Okay. Onsets.
Okay, onsets, and people get this all confused because the rhyme part of the word. But what happens is the onset is whatever comes before the vowel, like in the word, and all words have it. That's something that's important. Like the word run, what comes before the vowel is R. That's the onset.
Okay. And the last two, phonological awareness and then segmentation, and then we'll be at our time.
Okay, so phonological awareness is just it's very closely aligned to phonemic awareness because it's that ability to hear and manipulate the sound structure of the word, knowing that again that word has been broken down into individual syllables, and we'll talk about syllables at a different time because syllabication is a very important aspect of reading. And then the last one, what did you say was segmentation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so segmentation is actually separating words into those individual phonemes. Like I use the word mop. The segments of mop are a. So each one of those phonemes represents a segment of the word. Again, this is a lot of information that we share because we want you guys to be able to support your teachers with this. We support teachers with it. So we are always excited to share beginning reading strategies because when you provide these foundations for students, then they can enter into the reading process as strong readers and not struggling readers. Because if they don't get the concept of the sound symbol relationship, sometimes those are those kids that you see that they are looking at a word and the word is go and they say yes. They don't have sound symbol because everybody knows that yes and go look and sound nothing alike. So it's important to make sure that we get kids strongly rooted in those foundational skills.
Well, thank you for joining us, everyone. Good morning. And we saw everyone who your name came through the feed. We decided to just start going back and interact with the chat, so we'll have more time and not run out of time. We always speak to Principal Kafele, our mentor, but thank you all so much for joining us. And we have resources. This is the time now that you should be looking for things for summer reading. And Higgs, Phonics, and EduMonitor are two partnerships that we have for summer reading materials for math and ELA. So if you fill out the contact form on our website, we will be able to get you that information. And also, if you have not already reserved your copy of It Doesn't Have to Be Lonely at the top, make sure you go to our website and do that as well. We are hopping over to Principal Kafele's page, so join us next over there. There's an awesome interview, and we'll see you there. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a good rest of your day.